Welcome to Passport to Sleep, a calming journey through real places and dreamy escapes. Let's begin tonight's story. You arrive in Vancouver just after midday, when the clouds are high and slow moving, and the light on the bay is the colour of soft silver. The air here smells like cedar and salt, like clean pavement after rain, like something that's always been alive. It's cooler than you expected, but it's the kind of cool that wakes your senses gently. You feel the city breathing beneath it all, a calm, steady rhythm. Your ride takes you past tree-lined boulevards and tall glass buildings that shimmer like rivers. Then, like turning a page, you're suddenly beside the ocean. English Bay opens up before you, quiet and grey-blue, with sailboats drifting like punctuation across the horizon. You stop in front of a building wrapped in ivy, its green leaves climbing the stone like an old story still being written. This is the Sylvia Hotel, your home for the next few days. It's a boutique place full of character, with leaded windows, creaky stairs, and a quiet elegance that feels both faded and timeless. There's a cat who sometimes sits near the lobby fireplace, the kind of hotel where people write postcards and mean to send them, where sleep feels like it might come easily, even in the middle of the day. You check in and drop your bag. The room is simple, warm. The window opens to let in the sea air, and beyond the glass you hear the low murmur of waves meeting shore. You sit for a moment, just listening. A gull calls in the distance. A breeze lifts the sheer curtain like breath. After a while you wander a short path through Stanley Park, the edge of it brushing right up against the hotel. The trees are tall here, Douglas fir and western red cedar, standing like sentinels in the mist. The sky is layered now, silver over blue, and the path leads you through hush and birdsong until it opens onto a clearing near the water. You stop at the tea house in Stanley Park, tucked among the trees, where the windows face the ocean and the tables are dressed with soft linen. You're seated near the glass. Outside, the tide moves in slow curls. Inside, the warmth of the room settles around you like a blanket. You order something light, a seafood salad perhaps, or a bowl of roasted tomato soup, and sip from a glass of cold water with a slice of lemon drifting near the rim. The food arrives warm and fragrant, plated simply but beautifully. You eat slowly, as though you have nowhere else to be. And you don't. After lunch, you take the seawall path. It curves around the edge of the park, hugging the shore. To your right, the Pacific. To your left, the forest. You walk at the pace of thought, not quite strolling, not quite purposeful. Just moving. The wind carries the sound of cyclists passing now and then, and the occasional echo of laughter from a bench farther down the path. The stones beneath your feet are smooth and dark, scattered with driftwood. You stop at Third Beach, where the sand is wide and quiet, and let your hand trail through the cool air as the waves break gently on the rocks. You continue along the path until the forest opens again near the totem poles. They stand tall and still, painted in bold colours, each one telling a story too ancient and layered for any single voice. You pause, not reading plaques, not interpreting, just honouring, just listening. The afternoon stretches into evening, and you make your way back to the West End, where the streets grow cosy with golden light. Trees arch overhead, the windows glow. You step into Tavola, a quiet Italian spot with wood tables and candlelight. The room smells of rosemary and fresh bread. You order a plate of hand-cut pasta and a small carafe of wine, letting the warmth of it all gather in your chest. Around you, the conversations are soft. The plates arrive steaming. The forks move slowly. After dinner, you walk back along English Bay Beach where the waves roll in with steady rhythm. The light is fading now. Street lamps blink on one by one, casting long reflections across the pavement. Across the bay, the skyline flickers like distant stars. The city hums low, a lullaby of footsteps, breeze and quiet water. Back in your room at the Sylvia, the sheets are turned down, and the ocean air drifts in through a small crack in the window. You lie back, eyes half closed. A freighter passes far out on the bay, slow and silent, its lights like fireflies moving across a blanket of ink. The ivy on the building rustles slightly. The breeze carries the scent of the forest and the sea. Your second morning in Vancouver arrives slowly, wrapped in quiet fog and the faintest sound of rain tapping the ivy leaves outside your window. It's not a hard rain, just enough to soften the edges of the world. The air is cool and earthy, and the waves in English Bay move with a rhythm so steady it might be your own breath. You wake without urgency, there's time. Outside, the city waits in no rush. The streets glisten with early light. You dress slowly, drawn by the idea of something warm and familiar, and head into the West End where breakfast is waiting at a quiet place called Forage. The restaurant hums gently, the tables spaced just enough for solitude, the wood grains glowing softly in the morning light. You sit near the window, where a branch taps the glass from time to time, and order a plate of poached eggs and smoked salmon, local, clean, deeply comforting. There's fresh bread, sliced thick and warm, a pot of tea. You eat slowly. No one hurries here. The rain has paused, and the world seems to exhale. From there, a drive takes you through the city's western edge, where the University of British Columbia sits surrounded by forest and sea. The road curves beneath tall evergreens, and you feel the presence of the Pacific even when you can't see it. When you arrive at the Museum of Anthropology, the sky has lifted a little, revealing silver streaks of cloud and the soft glint of ocean behind the trees. The museum itself is like a clearing. Tall windows stretch from floor to ceiling, letting in sky and trees and light. Inside, it is quiet. Not library quiet, but sacred quiet. The space is filled with carvings, totem poles, bentwood boxes, and woven art that speak of histories much older than the city itself. You walk slowly between them. Each piece is anchored by story, though not all the stories are told in words. You stop in front of one towering figure carved from cedar, its face solemn, its arms stretched wide. The air smells faintly of wood and salt. It's cool here, and still. You sit for a moment on a low bench and let the silence settle. Outside, a crow calls once and is gone. When you're ready, you step back into the air. A short walk leads you to a place even more hidden, just beyond the museum, Netobi Memorial Garden, a traditional Japanese garden designed for reflection. The gravel paths curve gently beneath maple and pine. Stones mark the way. A koi pond mirrors the trees, the water so still it seems suspended in time. You cross a small arched bridge and pause in the middle. There's a heron standing at the edge of the pond. It doesn't move. Neither do you. Time passes differently here, the garden has no clocks. Eventually, you follow the path back and return to the city, where the day has grown brighter. The clouds lift just enough to reveal the distant North Shore mountains, their peaks still streaked with snow even now, in the soft shoulder of the season. You make your way to Granville Island, crossing the water by bridge or small boat. The public market here is alive but not loud. The smell of fresh bread, of cut flowers, of coffee and ocean all mix in the air. You walk past stalls of handmade chocolates, ripe fruit and pottery that still holds the heat of the kiln. At one end of the market, a busker plays a soft, slow jazz tune on a saxophone, and for a moment it feels like a soundtrack built just for you. You find a seat near the water, where ferries dart across False Creek like small water insects, and open a paper-wrapped lunch from a nearby cafe. Something fresh, a baguette with soft cheese and tomato, or a warm bowl of soup. It's simple and it's enough. Later, as the afternoon begins to dim, you return to the mainland and walk through Gastown, where old brick buildings lean in over the cobblestones, and the lamps glow early. You stop for dinner at the Acorn, where the room is quiet and the menu reads like poetry. You order a plate of something plant-based and beautiful, maybe roasted carrots with herb oil or a risotto with mushrooms and soft cheese. The candle on your table flickers slightly. Outside, the steam clock lets out a hush of vapour. A couple walks by, laughing softly. Inside, the music is low and slow. After dinner, you walk. The streets are damp, glowing from below with the reflection of light on stone. The city feels smaller now, gentler. The air has that particular scent that only comes after rain, fresh and a little electric, like the whole place has been washed clean. You walk until you're ready to stop, and then you return. The Sylvia Hotel is waiting. The ivy shifts slightly in the wind. The front desk light glows like a welcome left on for you. In your room, the sea is just outside the window, the surf softer now. You close the curtains halfway, letting in just enough light to see the outline of the bay. The sheets are cool and smooth. You lie back and listen. Somewhere out there, a freighter's horn sounds once, low and long. The city quiets again. Your last morning in Vancouver begins before the city fully wakes. Light creeps in quietly, filtered through low clouds and dew-glazed windows. The sounds outside are few, just the whisper of tires on wet streets and the gentle rustle of wind through the ivy that still clings to your window like it has something to say. You leave early, bundled in something soft, walking slowly toward the gardens just south of the city centre. The streets are open, the sky painted in the calm blues and silvers that only come before the sun has truly risen. At the edge of the city, you enter Van Dusen Botanical Garden, where winding paths lead into a world that feels entirely separate from the one you've left. Inside, everything is still damp with morning. The hedges shimmer. The grass is cool underfoot. The petals of early blooms open quietly in the hush. You walk slowly past flower beds and tree groves, past bridges and stone paths, listening to the occasional chirp of a bird shaking off sleep. You pause beneath a blooming cherry tree. The blossoms hang like paper lanterns. A few have fallen to the path, and you step around them like they're sacred. The garden is nearly empty, and it feels like it belongs to you. You find a bench that's still cool to the touch and sit for a while doing nothing, watching light filter through the leaves and onto your hands. Inside the garden cafe, Truffles, breakfast is quiet and simple. You order a warm croissant or a slice of quiche, maybe a cup of tea steeped just long enough to darken the water. You sit by the window as steam curls upward, and outside, the garden continues to unfold unhurried. Later, you walk down toward the False Creek Ferry, one of the little boats that skips gently across the bay, like a stone that doesn't want to sink. The boat rocks softly as you step aboard. The water is calm, reflective. The breeze carries a faint trace of brine and sun-warmed wood. Around you, the city rises quietly. Glass towers mirrored in the water, mountain peaks in the distance dusted with white. The ferry glides across False Creek, past rowers slicing through the glassy surface, past docked boats with slack sails, past herons perched like statues. You drift slowly toward Olympic Village, where the walkways stretch wide beside the water and public art peeks out from every corner. You stop briefly by the sculpture called The Birds, tall and still and strange, watching over the sea. There's a small cafe nearby, Mon Pitou, where the chairs are warm and the food is bright and satisfying. You sit near the window, the smell of bread and roasted vegetables filling the space. You order something light, perhaps a tartine with tomato and basil, or a soft omelette folded neatly with cheese and herbs. Around you, quiet conversation. On the walls, sunlit photographs of old French storefronts, the kind of place that lets you breathe deeply, just once, and feel better. After lunch, the city begins to slow again. The light softens. The air feels cooler, but not cold. You make your way to one final viewpoint, Queen Elizabeth Park, where the entire city seems to stretch out beneath you like something remembered. The domed conservatory rises behind you, glass and quiet birdsong within. Before you, Vancouver, in all its shades. Water, mountains, skyline, trees. The places you've walked, the paths you've taken, the hush you've found. You sit for a while near the edge of the viewpoint, letting the breeze brush past you like a final gesture. You watch a plane glide silently across the sky, leaving nothing behind. Later, back at your hotel, the room is quiet again. The window is cracked just enough to let in the rhythm of the sea. You lie back, arms resting loosely at your sides. Your eyes grow heavy. The city outside fades, not gone, just softened, just folded into quiet memory. We hope you enjoyed this journey. Please follow us for more destinations, and don't forget to leave a review. It helps others find a peaceful place to drift off to. We'd also like to remind you that information in this episode may become outdated. Please verify with your own research if you plan on travelling to any of these lovely destinations. Until next time.